We grew up on the same street, the kind with cracked sidewalks, faded chalk drawings, and the scent of barbecue drifting from backyard grills in the summer. His house was 3 doors down from mine. I could see his bedroom window from my own. We were childhood friends before we were anything else. He was the boy who shared his crayons with me in kindergarten, who helped me climb the monkey bars in 3rd grade, who walked me home when my backpack was too heavy and my heart was even heavier. By high school, we were inseparable. First kiss under the bleachers. First heartbreak when he left for college. First reunion when he came back and said, "I never stopped loving you." We moved in together in our mid-20s. A modest house in Houston. 2 bedrooms, a tiny kitchen with mismatched tiles, and a backyard with a swing set we never used. The air always smelled faintly of jasmine from the neighbor's garden, and the floorboards creaked like they were whispering secrets. It was quiet. Peaceful. Safe. Too safe. I started feeling restless. Not because he did anything wrong. He was kind. Loyal. Attentive. But something inside me felt like it was slipping, like I was losing the spark that made me feel alive. I blamed my ADHD. My mind was always racing, always chasing novelty. I told myself I wasn't bored of him, just bored of the routine. The predictability. The quiet. So one night, over dinner, the kind of dinner where the silence between bites feels heavier than the food itself, I said the words that would unravel everything. "I think we should try an open relationship." He didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just stared at me, his fork halfway to his mouth, steam rising from the plate between us. The clink of the ceiling fan above was the only sound in the room.
"You're bored?"
He asked, voice low, almost unreadable. I nodded, trying to sound casual, like I hadn't rehearsed this moment 100 times in my head. "I just think, maybe if we had some space, some freedom, we'd find our spark again." He set his fork down slowly, the metal tapping against the ceramic. His eyes didn't leave mine.
"Okay,
He said.
but there's a catch.
I felt my stomach tighten.
If I catch feelings for someone else, I'm leaving."
The words hung in the air like smoke. I blinked, unsure if I'd heard him right. "You're joking," I said, half laughing.
"I'm not.
He replied.
You want freedom. I'll give it to you. But if I find someone who makes me feel something real, I won't stay out of guilt."
I swallowed hard. The room felt colder suddenly, like the air had shifted. I nodded, pretending I understood. Pretending I was okay with it. But deep down, I thought he'd never leave. I thought I was irreplaceable. At first, it was exciting. I downloaded dating apps. Swiped. Matched. Went on coffee dates with strangers who smelled like cologne and talked too fast. I flirted. I explored. I felt alive again, like I was rediscovering parts of myself I'd buried under routine and domesticity. He didn't ask questions. Didn't pry. He gave me space, respected my boundaries. Still made coffee for me in the mornings. Still kissed my forehead before bed. But something had shifted. He started dressing better, button-down shirts instead of hoodies, cologne I didn't recognize. He smiled at his phone more. Hummed while brushing his teeth. He seemed lighter. I noticed the way he lingered in the mirror before leaving the house. The way he checked his phone with a half-smile. The way he stopped asking me how my day was. One night, I asked, "Are you seeing someone?" He nodded.
"Her name's Elise."
I felt a sharp sting in my chest. I tried to hide it. "Oh," I said, forcing a smile. "Cool." He didn't elaborate. Just went back to scrolling. We still lived together. Still shared meals. Still slept in the same bed. but the silence between us grew louder. It wasn't angry, it was hollow. Like something had died and neither of us wanted to name it. I tried to fix it. I initiated intimacy more often. Cooked his favorite meals. Left little notes on the fridge like I used to. I told myself it was just a phase, that we'd find our way back. But he was drifting. And I was pretending not to notice. It happened on a Thursday. The air was thick with humidity, the kind that clings to your skin and makes everything feel heavier. I remember the way the light filtered through the blinds, soft, golden, almost forgiving. But nothing about that moment felt gentle. He stood in the living room, his posture calm but distant. His duffel bag was by the door. His toothbrush was gone from the bathroom. The silence between us was louder than any argument we'd ever had.
I'm choosing her, he said.
I blinked. Wait, what?
I told you what would happen, he said. You wanted freedom. I gave it to you. And in that space, I found someone who makes me feel wanted.
I felt the air leave my lungs. My heart pounded in my ears. I reached for him, desperate. Please, I whispered. Don't do this. I didn't mean it. I was confused. I still love you. He shook his head slowly.
You were bored. You said I didn't excite you. I'm not going to stay where I'm not wanted.
The next day, I was asked to leave. I packed my things in silence. The scent of his cologne still lingered in the bedroom. The coffee mug he always used sat untouched on the counter. I stared at it for too long. I stood in the doorway of the house we built together, the one with the swing set we never used, the mismatched tiles in the kitchen, the creaky floorboards that used to whisper our secrets, and I watched him close the door behind me. Elise moved in that weekend. 6 days after being kicked out. I missed him excruciatingly. The ache was physical, like someone had scooped out my insides and left me hollow. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Couldn't stop checking his social media. He looked happy. Smiling with Elise. Traveling. Living the life I thought was mine. I tried calling him. No answer. I saw him in public once, at a coffee shop we used to go to. He looked right through me. Like I was a stranger. I waved. He turned away. I went back to our old house, desperate to talk. Elise was there. She opened the door with a glare that could cut glass.
What are you doing here?
She snapped. I just want to talk to him, I said, voice trembling. She stepped outside, blocking the doorway.
He doesn't want to talk to you.
I tried to push past her. She shoved me. Things got physical. She pepper sprayed me. The sting was immediate, burning, blinding. I stumbled back, gasping, tears streaming down my face. He came out, tried to break it up, then pushed me out the door. Later, he filed a restraining order. I didn't understand. I told myself he was cheating. That he met Elise through me. That he strung me along. But deep down, I knew the truth. He warned me. He told me what would happen. And I didn't listen. I blamed my ADHD. Said I wasn't bored of him, just distracted. That I wanted a no-strings-attached phase so we could find our spark again. But it wasn't that simple. I posted online, hoping for validation. Hoping someone would say, "You were right." He was wrong. Instead, they said, "You made your bed. You hurt him. You wanted freedom, and now you're angry that he used it." They were right. I had confused comfort with boredom. Loyalty with dullness. And now, I was alone. The silence in my life was deafening. The absence of his voice, his footsteps, his scent, it was everywhere. I kept hearing phantom sounds, The creak of the floor when he walked past, the clink of his spoon in the cereal bowl, the soft hum of his laugh when he read something funny. But they were just echoes. And I was left with nothing but the consequences of my own choices. Eventually, I had no choice but to leave the city. I packed what little I had left and moved back to Arizona, the place I once called home, though it didn't feel like it anymore. The desert air hit me like a wall. Dry, sharp, and unforgiving. The sun was relentless, casting long shadows across the cracked pavement. The nights were colder than I remembered, not just in temperature, but in feeling. The silence here was different. It didn't whisper. It stared. I rented a small apartment on the edge of town. The walls were thin, the carpet worn, the kitchen smelled faintly of bleach and old onions. It wasn't home. But it was quiet. I started therapy again. I told my therapist everything, the boredom, the ADHD, the open relationship, the fallout. She listened. She didn't judge. But she didn't let me off the hook either.
You made a choice,
She said.
and now you're grieving the consequences.
I cried in her office more times than I can count. I told her I missed him. That I still loved him. That I didn't know how to let go. She asked me.
Do you miss him? Or do you miss who you were when you were with him?
I didn't have an answer. It's been 2 years. I've tried to stay offline. Tried to live my life. Tried to move on. But my ex and his now wife, Elise, find new ways to live in my head rent-free. They're still in the house we once shared. The swing set is gone. The kitchen tiles have been replaced. The floorboards no longer creak. He renews the restraining order every time it expires. I know he's going to keep doing it. Because for reasons I still don't understand, the man hates me. And maybe he should. I wanted an open relationship. So what? You don't just string someone along for 8 months, meet a new girl through me, and then marry her. But he didn't string me along. He was honest. He told me what would happen. And I didn't believe him. Now, she's living in my home. With someone who should have been my husband. And I'm here. Alone. Still trying to understand how I let it all slip away. I've spent a lot of time looking in the mirror lately. Not just at my face, though it's changed. There's a tiredness in my eyes I didn't have before. A quietness in my expression that wasn't there when I was younger. I look at myself and ask, who am I now? I used to think I was the kind of woman who could handle anything. Who could chase excitement and still keep love close. Who could ask for freedom and still be chosen. But I wasn't. I was the kind of woman who didn't know what she had until it was gone. I was the kind of woman who mistook stability for stagnation. I was the kind of woman who asked for an open relationship and lost everything. I don't want him back anymore. I want peace. I want to stop waking up with his name in my throat. I want to stop checking his social media like it holds the answers to my healing. I want to stop wondering if he ever thinks about me. Because I know he doesn't. He moved on. He built a life. He found someone who made him feel wanted, and he chose her. And I'm learning to choose myself. I sit on my porch now, sipping tea, watching the Arizona sun dip below the horizon. The sky turns shades of orange and violet, and the wind carries the scent of dust and sage. I'm alone. But I'm learning to be okay with that. I don't want the past back. I want a future where I understand what love really means. Not excitement. Not novelty. But commitment. The kind that stays. The kind that doesn't need permission to be real. Here at Tinty Tales, every story is brewed slow and served warm, made for listeners who savor meaning in every word. So please, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. This is Tinty Tales, pour a cup, and I'll pour a story.